Hello, friends. Matt Jacobowski here with another episode of My Side of the Fence, and excited to be joined by my good friend, the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of Southern New Jersey, Christina Renna. Hey, Christina.
Hey, Matt, thank you so much. I am very flattered to be asked to join you today, so thank you.
Well, I'm super excited about this one. I always say, Christina, that I feel like you helped me grow up in business because when I was a kid who knew absolutely nothing, one of the first places I went was to your chamber, and you're one of the first people I met, and you embraced me and quickly helped me, and I think got me to where I am now. So I've been pretty excited to have you on this one, just to give you some shout outs and to get more people familiar with you.
Well, that's very sweet of you. Thank you, Matt. That's what the chamber does. That's what we're all about is, connecting people and getting to know people and figuring out the puzzle pieces of how everyone can kind of do business together. So that's very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, and you guys are super successful. So this show is about helping people out there understand what leaders and executives like you, how their mind works, and hopefully uncover that your side of the fence isn't that different than the rest of us. But I do have a couple traditions on the show, and it's typically opening up with rapid fire. So you ready for a couple of questions?
Yes, I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Beautiful. Favorite sports team?
I'm Philadelphia, everything all the way. I have to pick one. I believe green. So I'm a big Eagles fan. So we'll go with the Eagles.
Let's hope we outperform expectations this year.
Exactly.
What's your favorite song?
All right. So, this is so not an easy question. So I would say my favorite song, probably in life, is "Round Here" by Counting Crows. So, especially love an acoustic version that they did back in the 90s. So that's probably my favorite song of all time. Of late, though, I've been listening to a lot of Zac Brown band, and not even new Zac Brown, but I've had Colder Weather on repeat for a while, so that's probably my song of the moment right now. But "Round Here" is probably my lifer favorite song.
Not many better summer bands than Zac Brown, so I understand that.
They're the best.
Last rapid fire question. What's your dream car?
So I was never really a car person per se, so that's hard. Growing up, both my parents and my father still to this day drives a Mustang convertible. So both my mom and my dad had like stick shift Mustang convertibles. So I don't know if it's a Mustang convertible or maybe just like a convertible in general. I think that's cool, right? So we'll just go with a convertible of some sort, perhaps
Okay.
a Mustang,
Cool.
following my parents' footsteps. So
Beautiful. I'd ask you what your dream job is, but you're already in it, so that'd be too
correct.
easy of a question. So Christina, I want the listeners to get to know you better, and you've had a really cool career path that has you at a place now that I think is a place you always dreamed of being in, which I think is a cool story. But a lot of what you've always had to do is deal with very influential and powerful people in a lot of different realms. Can you talk about what goes into that and how you've had to negotiate with those types of people and win them over in some cases?
Sure. It's interesting. We're not here to talk about politics. My background is sort of historically in politics and that cross section between politics and business, because for those unfamiliar with the South Jersey Chamber, we are really the only chamber here in South Jersey that are active lobbyists as well and work with our legislature and our governor to try to inform good policy that helps the business community. So it's still an arm of what we do at the chamber. Growing up in that political arena and learning and understanding the intricacies of the South Jersey business community is what brought me to the South Jersey Chamber. And learning from business leaders like, my mentor and predecessor, Deb DiLorenzo at the chamber, who ran our organization for 25 years until I took over in January of last year. And, so many of, these huge, bigger than life leaders that in my 20s and in my 30s, I really looked up to, the Rich Millers of the world, the Judy Romans of the world, who was our first female chair of the board at the chamber. In politics, that's all over the board. I'm a very moderate person, so I have, big people I looked up to on both sides of the aisle. But being younger, and I had this thing growing up where I always lied about my age. I always said I was older than I was because I thought that would make people, respect me more, be more impressed with me. And as you get older, you realize you just be your genuine self, bring your articulate thoughts to the table, research a subject, come in, be curious and ask questions, and you're going to get the kind of respect and engagement that you want from these bigger than life figures. And so that's some of the things that I sort of taught myself over time, dating back to, 22, out of college, telling people I was 26. That's a big difference. Right. So here I am, taking over the chamber at 38 and now being 40 years old and kind of reflecting back on that and really learning so many executives, so many business leaders or political leaders in my previous life, they really do have an open door policy. They want to engage and help people grow and be better versions of themselves in their professional life. And so I kind of learned that along the way, I think. And I think being curious is a big piece of that.
So my favorite movie of all time is It's a Wonderful Life, which is a Christmas movie, right?
We have that in common.
That's why we get along so well. And so you'll probably remember there's a line in there from George Bailey's father, and he says to George, you were born older. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you brought it up because it's something I was going to bring up to you, is you are a younger executive for what you've done and what you've accomplished. And I know your entire professional career, like you said, you've always had to be, ahead of your time or beyond your years. Do you think there was anything growing up that led you to be that way? Is there like a specific memory or a chain of events that you learned, all right, this is how it's going to be, this is who I want to be?
That's a great question. So I'm an only child, and my parents are very different people. No longer married, but we're married 26 years. But they raised me to be fiercely independent in many ways. You talk to some only children and they say, I hated being an only child, or I loved being an only child. It's really, you hear one or the other. I'm one of the people that really loved being an only child. And I credit that so much to how my parents raised me, in that it's okay to be alone. It's okay to be, not always engaging and with friends. And, my mom was a story many people in my close circle know. My mom never let me have video games. I was never, only certain approved toys were allowed, and so, which is just funny in general, but it led me to be comfortable in my own skin, comfortable being alone. And as I got older, that independence kind of started to show itself through. And I believed in myself because I spent so much time as a child and in my teen years and then in my college years, kind of fine tuning that. Not to say I didn't have a huge group of friends and family and support system, but I think it's really important. And it's led me as an adult to be very independent thinker and kind of think creatively about different ways to solve a problem or engage with potential partners or, make our members better in this case. Just growing up and kind of relying on myself and my parents giving me the confidence that you can kind of problem solve and make these decisions on your own, I think has led me to grow into the adult and the professional that I have been today if that makes any sense. I'm not sure that it does, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of it goes back to just, my childhood, how I was raised, and that belief that my parents always instilled in me, and that, you are enough, and you can do anything you put your mind to. So.
So, what's ironic is another, assumption about only children is that you would end up selfish, right? That the only children are just selfish. They only care about themselves. But your entire role professionally, and I also, know things about you personally, and your stepchildren and the role you play in their life, and the amount of close friends and things you have. You actually wake up every day, and everything you do doesn't serve Christina. It actually serves other people and their interest.
Yes.
So, can you talk about that a little bit? Because, there's a lot of professions that, the theory is, oh, if you work hard, you can make more money, or you can rise in the ranks, or you can have a better title. But for you, when you're being successful, it's actually helping other people do that. It doesn't
Sure.
really benefit you in that way. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that is how we define success at the chamber. Is our success is dependent on our members' success. Our members being able to meet someone at a chamber event, find that connectivity there, find that, whatever it is, symbiotic way they can work together and help urge and encourage that relationship along, and do that to the best of our ability every day. So 1000% our success as a team at the chamber is based on seeing our members achieve success in their own right. And it's true. So at the end of the day, everything that we do at the chamber is for the members. In my case, it's for our team too, because we have an incredible team at the chamber, that all of the things we do couldn't be done without every single one of them make such an important piece of this puzzle. But for me, it's how can we make the team better? And if we make the team better, then we're making the members better. And then how do we make the chamber better? How do we make our offerings better? How do we think creatively and do some cool, unique things that other chambers aren't doing that maybe they hadn't thought about before, while keeping that level of professionalism that we really strive to always have at our chamber? Like, we don't want to be known as stuffy, but we're not party animals either. We need to find that happy medium where people can do all of those things. So you're right. Only children kind of are known to be selfish. I told you all the things I wasn't allowed to have Barbie dolls. I wasn't allowed to have video games. I was definitely not a spoiled child.
Right.
My cousins growing up used to just show up at Christmas and think my toys were hidden because I didn't get a lot of toys. I got soccer equipment because I was a big soccer player, and I got books from my mother, and that's it. They would literally run up in my room saying, "Where are all Christina's toys?" I was not a spoiled only child, but I'm very close with my parents. I'm very close with my family, and I have a huge group of friends that I grew up with that I'm very close with. And for me, giving back to them and being a meaningful part of their life is kind of what I live for. And that, of course, includes my husband and my 3 stepchildren as well, as you mentioned too. So it is all about giving back. The one thing I will say is, learning to say no is a thing. And it's an important thing, I think, for everyone, man, woman, or child's mental health. And it's something that I admit that I probably need to do a little bit better at. And that's something that we're all works in progress. So that's something I do need to be a little bit better at.
So I think our minds are working together right now, because I was going to lead into the fact that the other part of what you do involves a lot of public speaking, a lot of human engagement, a lot of traveling in a way. And you also are married to a man who has a fair amount of responsibilities himself. So how do you guys, keep it at 120 miles an hour? But then how do you guys also find time to make everything else work?
It is a unique scenario being married to someone who is, a CEO of such an important business that comprises the South Jersey business landscape. And I am incredibly blessed to have my husband by my side. My husband was the youngest CEO in the history of his company. There isn't a day that goes by, and it's usually multiple times a day, that I'm asking his opinion on something, getting his thought process on something, asking him if I'm worried about something I shouldn't be, asking him if he thinks something is a good idea. I mean, he's genuinely in a professional setting. I want to emulate his leadership at his company, because his team, his employees love him. He's a very grounded, down to earth person that just kind of calls it like he sees it. And he's also happens to be one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life as well. So I lean on him a lot. It's interesting now, my husband is a few years older than me. So I have 3 stepchildren. I never had any children of my own, but I have 3 stepchildren that I love as if they are my own. And when I met them, they were 5, 8, and 9. And now they are 19, 22, and 23. And so 2 in college and 1 working in his first job, recently graduated. And it's a really unique space because we're a big sports family. We're a big football family. My husband used to play football. Both my boys played football. My younger stepson he's a senior in college and playing football. We're going up to see him this weekend. So much of what we do is we're trying to figure out our schedules around still like spending time with the kids, even though the kids aren't kids anymore. But it's been a really interesting experience for me because obviously I was rising up through the chamber at a time where they were still younger and still home a lot more, and just having the ear of someone, like Mike, that he understands scheduling is not sin, but the priorities are the kids. It's just been a real blessing to go through life with someone like Mike and then have these 3 stepchildren by my side that make me a way better human than I was before I met them, I should say. So.
Yeah. And I think that helps give you the energy you need for everything that you have to do across the board is you're happy and excited to be with those people, and you're in an environment at all times, even at home when you're reading a book in bed, where you're being driven to be a better person, which is what it's all about.
It's definitely true. It's 1000% true. And the need to give space too. People like you, Matt, people like me, we are kind of constantly on the go, knowing that, I need that book in bed, and having that kind of partnership and understanding that goes such a far way. It's very helpful to unplug and have the support of your family in that unplugging.
Yeah. No, that's well said. So, you talked about Mike, you've talked about Deb DiLorenzo, you mentioned Rich Miller, who might be a guest on my side of the fence very soon. So, another great person. You've had a lot of mentors or people to look up to along the way. Are there times still today where you think of those people and say to yourself, "Oh, what would Rich Miller have done, or what would Deb DiLorenzo have done, or even all of those other people that you've been engaged with and continue to be engaged with that are part of your chamber?"
WWDD, what would Deb do? I think about that 5 times a day, because Deb obviously she didn't create, the chamber's almost 150 years old, but the last 25 years, she took the chamber to this incredible level. And then I have been, really humbled by the fact that she trusted me and the board trusted me, not just Deb, with the keys to this amazing organization, right? So that's like my gut check every day. Well, what would Deb do? And yes and no. And I don't mean this in a negative way too, but also times are changing. So sometimes it's like, what would Deb do? Is this still the right way to do it to keep us fresh and keep our members really engaged, because it's not the same as it was 10 years ago. It's not the same as it was 5 years ago. In this case, it's the world we're living in isn't the same as it was a year and a half ago now. So Deb is constantly over here hanging out, and I do rely on her a lot. Joe Devine is another gentleman who was our transitional chair of the board. So he was with us, Deb and Kathy Davis's last year, and me and Meredith Laurelier's first year. And so bless him, because there's a lot going on during those times, and also for him professionally as well during those times. But learned about the importance of open communication and honesty and some of these kind of uncomfortable conversations in business that can happen. Joe is such a valued voice in my head too, and a friend to me as well. And so, I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but for sure, growing up and, whether it be in the political arena or it be in the business arena, I've been very fortunate to have some really, really amazing individuals to look up to that have hopefully made me the kind of leader that will take our chamber members and make them even more successful than they already are. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's coming full circle. You're not old, but now you're becoming one of the people that other people look up to and think about in their head. So I think that's the circle of life, as they say. That's an exciting thing.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's a little, if I'm being honest, it's a little uncomfortable for me still, but it's something I'm getting used to, because as we talked about before we started recording that, I'm still getting used to a lot of this talking about. I'm great at talking about the chamber. Let's keep talking about the chamber. Talking about me and how I got here and all of that is still something I'm like, a little shaky on. So.
Well, I'm glad you're here doing it. So I always finish with two standard questions. So the first one is about relationships and how you go about choosing them, whether it be, in your case, people that the chamber does business with, or people that you choose to get into leadership or volunteer positions with, or anything in between. Help folks understand how someone in your shoes, and you're surrounded by a lot of people that make a lot of those big decisions. How are those decisions made?
Well, first and foremost, it's, does this person bring value add to the members? What is the value proposition there? Is there a true value add? Because if the answer is no, well, then it's a done deal, right? Everything we do for our members. And then it's kind of, again, I keep using, the word, being curious, and I'm really open to exploring, if I do see a value add there, or see something that, other folks aren't doing that can really, step us up a notch and make us stand out. Then it's, you just like anything, do a little research into the person, the company, talk to people around them, understand a little bit about them, their business, how they conduct their business, what their reputation is. Do they conduct themselves with integrity? Do they conduct themselves with professionalism? Is this the kind of person that I want to professionally get in bed with, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. And, if you check all those boxes, there really isn't much, as a chamber, I don't think we wouldn't be open to pursuing. The issue that we fall into as a chamber is that we have, at last count, I think about 135 nonprofit organizations, all with tremendous and very valuable and important causes. And so, when it gets to helping a specific cause, we want to be not just a business partner, but a community partner as well. And that's sort of the direction that has been very important to me, is we have taken over the chamber as of January of last year, not just to brand ourselves as business, but also brand ourselves as a part of this community. But it gets a little tricky for us because we do have so many amazing members that do have so many needs and help. So how can we help them? And then again, where are those partnership opportunities that allow us to bring the maximum amount of benefits to our members that can help them in any way, that also, makes sense for the chamber strategically as well, and the members. So at the end of the day, it's really all about the value add, and then what an arrangement like that looks like, and then doing your due diligence, you being me in this case, our due diligence as a chamber to make sure we are working with the kind of people that hold themselves to the same standard that me and the team at the chamber hold ourselves to every day. I think that's most important.
That's great. Thank you. So last question, this one's kind of a grim question, but it has big purpose. So it's write your eulogy, but what I mean is, what do you want the legacy to be for Christina Renna? How do you want people to talk about you many, many years from now?
Man, Matt, something more uplifting to conclude with. All right, let's see. First and foremost, I want to be known as, a caring and loving wife, a caring and loving step-parent, a good daughter and family member. I have a group of friends that we date back to preschool, most of us, kindergarten, in that age group. I want to be considered family to them too. You hear that saying, the family you choose, because just as impactful as, of course, my mother and my father and my husband and so many of my family members have been, my group of friends are all amazing professionals, mothers, just people in their own right that have helped me turn into the person I am, both personally and professionally as well. So I want to be known as a good and caring friend to my people, that hopefully they look back at me and know that I was always there for them, no matter what, good times and bad. And then I would just say, last but not least, I really want to be known as someone who cares tremendously about the South Jersey community as a whole, not just business, but born and raised in South Jersey, have no plans to leave South Jersey anytime soon. The South Jersey family is a unique one. And so any small part I can play in helping South Jersey, be as great as we are and continue to be, and even better in the future, is something that I would also like to leave behind, I think, as my legacy.
No surprise, everything you just mentioned was about serving others. So again, I'm just grateful that you came on. I really enjoy our friendship, and so cool to see everything that you've accomplished and are going to continue to accomplish. So thanks for sharing a little bit about you for my listeners. And I'm sure that you'll be hearing from a lot more people for different opportunities and mentorship, and even just a chat after all the good wisdom you shared today.
Well, I'm always here for all of that. And Matt, thank you again. You are the best. This, whole podcast that you're doing is really, it's fun. I've watched several of them. It's fun. And again, I feel very honored that you asked me to come on. So thank you. And thank you as well for being, such a good friend over all these years. And of course, loyal chamber member as well. So.
Absolutely. Well, Christina, thanks again. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely, Matt. Thanks so much.